With iron ore prices hitting 5-year lows, it seems an unlikely time to develop a new mining project. But West Australian miner Mineral Resources is ploughing ahead to get government approval of a controversial mine in a sensitive banded ironstone range. As Bronwyn Herbert reports, residents of the nearby town of Southern Cross are debating whether the impact on one of the region's last banded ironstone ranges is worth the economic gain.
These rugged and remote hills, 400 kilometres east of Perth, are one of the oldest landforms in Australia. They're a little-known wilderness on the edge of the West Australian wheatbelt. Known as the Helena and Aurora Ranges, they are one of the last undeveloped banded ironstone formations in WA.
Well, when I first came here, Bronwyn, I was just absolutely amazed, first of all, by the landscapes and also then the woodland that you come up to the range, and then to learn about the unique flora that had evolved in this landscape. Wow, that was just really exciting. This has been here for millions of years.
Amateur botanist Brian MOYLE has spent 30 years exploring the state's unique plant life, including at these ranges. Here, 2 extremely rare plants grow.
This tetratheca only occurs on this range and nowhere else on Earth. It's why it's listed as declared rare flora under the state government legislation. The tetratheca is able to grow out of cracks in the ironstone rock and then survive temperatures of radiated heat at least 50 degrees C. Truly amazing for a plant. It's like growing in an oven.
The rich red landscape holds another treasure, mineral wealth.
But this area would be mined?
This area would be mined, yes. Yeah, this would be turned into a pit.
West Australian mining company Mineral Resources says it needs to expand its existing iron ore operations in the Yilgarn region with 2 new open cut mines, allowing it to export around 6 million tonnes a year. The surrounding banded ironstone ranges are already heavily mined. Mineral Resources has 4 leases in the Helena and Aurora ranges, and it's applied to extract ore at 2 locations.
The 2 mines that we're proposing will each partially impact about 2 kilometres of that 45-kilometre range. So in percentage terms, the impact is small. We're out there doing our bit to continue to develop new mines, and when we have the go-ahead for this project, barring any further worsening in the economic conditions, we believe that this is a very economic project.
Great. You sound confident that it will be approved?
Absolutely.
But the state's environmental watchdog has recommended against the miners' plans. In its report, the EPA says the Helena and Aurora ranges are one of the last intact banded ironstone ranges, and the project would lead to the loss of rare and restricted flora species.
It does happen to be an unfortunate coincidence that the best mineral potential also does coincide where there is environmental concerns, and we're committed to working through with all of our stakeholders to address those concerns.
In Southern Cross, the closest town to the ranges, talk at the Palace Hotel on a hot 46-degree day is all about the mine. Drinkers acknowledge the development would help the economy.
We get a few jobs here or there. Most of them are fly in, fly out.
But they're sceptical the open-cut mines wouldn't cause extensive damage.
You don't cut a car in half and have the other half, do you? It's the same thing. It's the same as that. It's just, and also they're only want a small. We're going to mine a small part of it. But then they're going, as they go on, they'll say they want to mine another part, and then they only say they want a small amount to start with. But that's just ongoing. We've seen it happen before.
Helena Aurora Ranges, or the Bungalbans as the Aboriginal call it, is really the jewel of the Great Western Woodland. It's the highest peak. It's our Mona Lisa in our backyard, and we need to protect it.
It's our heritage that we've got to keep, and we've got to look after so that our children's children, people in 500 years' time, can go out there and say this is the last bit of iron ore biff that is left in Australia, maybe the world, I don't know. But that's what we need to do. We need to save it for that reason.
The promise of profit and jobs comes as other iron ore mines have closed in South Australia and the Northern Territory, with the price falling to a 5-year low.
It may seem probably a bad time to develop a new project, but let's not forget that the steel industry wants to have new supplies. The reality is that China will continue to urbanize, and they will continue to increase steel production, and will continue to import more and more iron ore. And of course there'll be ups and downs.
Mineral Resources says the 2 new mines will create at least 100 construction jobs and keep its current workforce.
The new development will extend the existing workforce. 262 roles are at the mine currently, and those roles will continue through the next 15 to 20 years. Additionally, royalties continue to flow. We currently pay 7.5% of our gross revenue straight into the state coffers, and indeed an additional $40 million a year that goes to Fremantle Port Authority, also owned by the state.
The decision on whether the mine will proceed is up to the state's Environment Minister, who won't comment until the appeal process is complete.
From a business point of view, from a community point of view, it is important. But in isolation, as I say, if I was the minister, I would be saying no.
Whatever the decision, it's likely this development will remain politically contentious.
10 years ago, the state's Environment Minister of the day announced these ranges would become a national park. But a few days later, Cabinet overturned the decision, downgrading the area to a conservation park, which, despite its name, allows mining applications.
For those conservationists who have committed decades to protecting flora and fauna, they say it's vital a real balance between conservation and development is achieved.
I'm not really that happy being called an activist, but what's happened is that I've become so interested in the plants, and then over the time in WA I've seen so little action to protect them. Well, you realise that you have to do something to assist in getting conservation recognised as a proper outcome for some areas.